We move on to this. While tabling her Consolidated Report on Local Government Audit Outcomes for the 2022-23 financial year, Auditor General Tsakani Maluleke once again highlighted the issue of municipalities who are still relying on consultants to prepare their financial statements. This continues to raise questions about the capabilities financial officers in some of these municipalities have. Khaya Sithole is an independent political economy analyst and joins us live now. Khaya, thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and I hope it's a better line to you. In the 2022-23 period, for example, 1.3 billion rand being spent on consultants hired to assist with financial reporting across 127 municipalities. This is a recurring problem. What does it tell us about the internal capacity within the municipalities themselves?
Good evening, and good evening to the viewers. I think the facts in front of us indicate that we've got widespread capacity issues across municipalities, and these widespread capacity issues are obviously across the board, but much more acutely monitored within the finance function, because that's obviously where the source of the information relating to audit reports come from. So we might be focusing on what the finance teams do or do not have, but I think it's not unique to just those teams. So what happens with municipalities that obviously don't have capacity is that they, on their own, are not in a position to put together the type of report or the type of information that makes the audit process easy. And what they then do is that ahead of the audit, they then gravitate towards employing consultants who are then asked to put together at the last minute something that the Auditor General might look at. And unfortunately, the evidence in front of us is that the money that we spend on those consultants doesn't get us very far, because it still turns out that the information that gets provided quite simply is not good enough.
And I suppose also coupled with that is the fact that maybe some of these municipalities will not have enough capacity to also oversee the work that some of these consultants are doing.
Yes, that became another recurring theme, in that in some of the work that the Auditor General was then provided with, she would then ask simple questions about, well, if you're saying that a consultant prepared this, it makes no sense. What exactly was it that they were asked to do, and how do you reconcile what their mandate was with the results that I'm seeing? So then it turned out that the reality is that once the consultants had been put on the job, they then did not have the appropriate oversight. So there wasn't someone saying, wait, hold on, in putting together this information, this is the context you need to understand, this is how the sequence of events happen, so therefore this is how you must package it together. So it then resulted in a back and forth exercise where the Auditor General would then say, well, I have absolutely no idea what it is that you guys have provided. Please, can you explain to me how you, as a municipality that gave this consultant this mandate, then produced this information? What does it mean to you? And at that point in time, it then emerges that during the process of putting together this financial information, they aren't being overseen. And that shouldn't be surprising, because, again, if it turns out that there's no one with the skills within the municipality, well, then it's very difficult to imagine how a person who didn't have the skills themselves would then be responsible for overseeing these specialist consultants who are then being asked to put together the information.
Khaya, so, this is a problem that has been going on for years now. So if that is still the concern in 2024, looking at some of, the reports, and this is a 2022-23 period, when it comes to the accounting or the reporting thereof. So what do municipalities need to do in order to capacitate everybody who's working there to ensure that especially the financial officers are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and everyone else is in fact capacitated to be able to carry out their daily duties?
Well, the straightforward answer would be that they must recruit the right people, but that straightforward answer is remarkably naive, because the reality here is that a lot of these municipalities quite simply are not able to attract the right skills. They are not able to offer the right packages, and they're in places where perhaps it's not as attractive to work as some other people might prefer. So even though one might say that, look, just simply employ the right people, these municipalities will then come back and say, look, we did put out a call for applications, and we simply did not get enough people that applied, or we did not get enough quality people to apply. And that's what then takes us back to the question of, well, what happens if a municipality says that the best way for us to attract that particular skill is not only to pay this baseline remuneration, but to also then offer them additional incentives that will get them to move away from Cape Town or from Johannesburg to come and work in this municipality that is in a very rural environment, for example. We still don't have an answer to that. So until there is an answer to how those municipalities that don't have that attraction to professionals, how those municipalities must then be able to get the right people in the room to be doing the work, this is going to be a persistent problem.
And of course, there's, also this issue of just looking at it through the eyes or the lens of the work of municipalities. But these audit reports are quite crucial. And I wonder if, you can tell us just how critical they are, especially in a relationship between the citizens, for example, and those who are in the administration.
Well, an audit report is a constitutionally mandated accountability instrument, which simply means that the Constitution itself did say in Chapter 9 that there must be an Office of an Auditor General whose responsibilities will include the publication of these audit reports so that citizens can know exactly what is being done in relation to the public resources that elected officials have been elected to oversee. So it's actually a constitutional requirement. The problem with that constitutional promise is that if the evidence in front of us keeps coming back and says that this accountability instrument is not giving us the desired results, then we have to be able to figure out how to get us there. So when you find out that only 34 out of 257 municipalities are able to give or put together the type of information that enables the Auditor General to say to the citizens of those municipalities, look, this is what has happened with the custody of the resources, and this is what has happened with the planning and the operations and, obviously the performance that has been mandated. The rest of the municipalities are not able to put together that type of information, which means that those citizens are really not, they don't enjoy that good relationship between themselves and the elected officials and administrators, which should be premised on the fact that we've elected you into office in order for you to be able to deliver these things, and this is the report that tells us how well you've done it. So when you get a disclaimer, for example, which simply says the Auditor General herself couldn't work out what on earth was going on, then that means that you've gone through an entire year of an accountability vacuum, and that is the crux of the problem.
And what does it mean, for service delivery in some of these municipalities where we're seeing a regression?
Well, there's definitely strong correlations between poor audit outcomes and poor service delivery. And one of the important things is that the Auditor General's reports are unique in the sense that they don't simply ask about the debit and the credit. They actually ask about the compliance with the laws of the Republic. They also ask about the performance. So in a performance indicator, the requirement might be that, look, in this particular community, we need to put together this type of infrastructure so that this type of citizens can enjoy this particular benefit. So that's a performance indicator. And in instances where even that is not being delivered, then service delivery has been compromised. So there's very strong correlations between those that actually quite simply cannot put this information together and the inability to actually then demonstrate how they've done what they were mandated to do. And the service delivery dimension is intimately linked to the audit or the oversight of that particular service delivery dimension.
All right, Khaya, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Appreciate it. That was Khaya Sithole, an independent political economy analyst.